Kenny here with Gardening Simplified. It's January 16th and it's kind of early, but let's talk about potting up plants. Okay, what I've got here is a couple of varieties of tomatoes. I have some celebrities and I have some cherry tomatoes. And then I have a couple of varieties of peppers. These here are bells, but I'm going to go ahead and pot these up and we're going to discuss a little bit about it while I do it. All right, I got my pots here. My potting mix is kind of my standard mix. Third, and a third. I got compost, peat moss, and perlite. And then I've mixed in some organic fertilizer. And what we're going to do is, and we'll start somewhere here. Let's get these out of the way. We'll start with these celebrities. Now there's more than one in a pot. And so what we want to do is we're going to break these apart. We'll put some soil in here where we may need to make a hole or something. But what we're going to do is we're just going to get these out of here. These plants are pretty resilient. Occasionally you might tear one up, but it's very, very rare. Now you can see these have some pretty good roots to them. We want to try to save as many roots as possible, but they're not going to not survive if you don't. Now we're going to have to kind of tease these and take them apart, get the roots out best we can, and that way we'll have roots on both of them. And now normally what I would do is I'd just get me some soil in there. I get me a hole. Now these plants, we're going to do this a little bit deeper. These plants can be buried up to their leaves. So, in fact, that's reason why I normally pot them up. I normally pot them up smaller, but these, it's way too cold outside to start putting out tomato plants. Right now it's in the 60s. It's fine, but there's going to be some days it's going to be in the 30s, and it could get below freezing. We will eventually put these out kind of earlier than normal. But what I'm trying to do is get some tomatoes early because I like fresh tomatoes, and this is the easy way. But anyway, what I want to explain about these, and I always do, but there's little roots on here and little fuzz on there, but this will make roots. All that'll make roots there. So what we're going to do is we're going to plant them deep, so they're going to have a lot more roots. They're going to be a lot more vigorous, and they ought to grow really well. So what we'll do is this one the same way. We're just going to, and a lot of people say grab them by the leaves so you don't tear something apart or something like that. I just grab the things. Now, if your pot isn't all the way full with soil like this one, which I'm going to pull this up and break, well, I done broke the top out. I'm not going to use that now that I've broken the top. We'll just get another one. But what I was going to say is, if you don't fill it up with soil, you can come back later after they start growing some, pick off some of the bottom leaves, put more soil there. But anyway, we're going to do this again. And the only reason I've got 2 or so in here is because whenever I was potting these, I wanted to make sure that I had germination in each of the cells. A lot of these seeds are more expensive than others too. So for some of y'all that are trying to do on a budget, it's always cheaper to buy seeds than plants. But when you have really expensive seeds, and celebrity is kind of like that. We're going to get some of this and put back in here, even though this doesn't have fertilizer. There's no sense in wasting it. But Celebrity does cost a little bit more, and it's not really in the readily available in a lot of your big box stores. So what you can do is you can plant these early, and you can take suckers off them and pot those up. And I have some videos on it. If I think about it, I'll add them there, but I may forget by the time I do. But you can take and pot them up, or pot those suckers up, and you can have more plants from just that one. So propagating is an excellent way to cut your costs, especially if there's varieties that the seeds are really expensive. But I really didn't need but 6 of these, but being they're growing, we're going to do them up in pots and get them going now. Now, normally, a lot of times I'll grow a whole lot of these in one cell tray to keep from having a big problem as far as planting them. And then and the roots, if I plant them, I'll get them young. I might get them before they even get their second leaves, but they'll be this small or smaller, and I'll plant them up. Then separate them out. I might put as many as 50 in a cell. Just depends on how many plants I'm trying to grow. But that's something that's important to know. Now this one here, being it is smaller, but we're going to go ahead and pot it into this big a pot. Normally I pot them in little 2x2s or 2.5 by 2.5 pots. But this will grow it fine. And let's go ahead and do a pepper here too. A lot of times you don't think about it. Now these pots here, these are old nursery pots. We have a landscaper that's kind of close by. I got a nursery, and I picked up a bunch of pots from them. They're nothing special about them. But anyway, the bell peppers, now these did have 2, and I just pulled them out. I was going to leave them in here, but I'm going to go ahead and put them in a bigger pot. Their root system is not as well defined. Now I got my heavy duty thing here. It's not as well defined, but it's good. But anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of this off of the bottom, because what I want to do is do this the same way. I want to be able to push this down here, and I want to put soil up the side of here. As long as you're below these first leaves. Now I haven't tried pulling off leaves and going that way, but a pepper will start shooting out roots on the side too. It doesn't have the little like hair on the side like a tomato, but it will still start rooting in. So if it's kind of a little bit tall, and these aren't real leggy because they've been under the higher power grow light, but what'll happen here is if they get leggy, you can just plant them down deeper. I kind of showed that a little bit on a leggy plant last year, a cayenne. So people would stop throwing out and stop listening to some of these people that said, get rid of those plants. They're leggy, start over. Because people ask, what do you do with leggy plants? But you can't argue with them. People get set in their ways. The easiest way is just show them. And on that, we go through whenever we first planted them, and then when I did some garden updates, I went ahead and showed some updates on how they were doing, and they really performed well. They did real good, especially for as minimal care as I give my plants. But This is one way to get rid of the leggy. But if you start your plants too early, and I know those of you up north, you probably said, yeah, I can't put my plants out for a few months now, which, you know, that's true. That's true. But a tomato, if you can get sufficient light, you know, a window or something, and where you can kind of turn it, and you got enough room to put some kind of basket or something around it, a cage to support it, to stick in there and tie it to it in a big enough pot. You can grow those inside. Now, I don't have any good southern facing windows. They're all kind of shaded, and so I can't per se grow these inside, but I do have my greenhouse. I have my grow lights until they get too big for my shelf, but I do have my greenhouse, and I do have row cover, and this year I'm going to try adding a little supplemental heat with the string of the mini Christmas lights. They tend to do pretty good. But anyway, I hope this gives you an idea on planting these up, how to plant them up, and even if it's not your time, you know, and you want to wait, that's fine. But I want you to be prepared, and if you want to grow one inside, just do like me. I mean, like I say, it's the middle of January, and we don't put these out until, well, really safe date is middle of April. So we're a few months away from even time to put these out. If you're going to buy those big ones in the store, you might as well buy you some seeds now and grow your big one. Start it out and grow it. Make sure it's got good moisture. Make sure you don't have a problem where you get fungal gnats and it starts attacking the roots. Find you a good organic fertilizer. The one that I put in here is a little slower release, and it's got a lot of nitrogen. You know, people say don't put a lot of nitrogen on your tomato plants. When you're first growing your plant, you want your plant big. So don't be afraid to put a lot of nitrogen. It's going to burn out. Normally, nitrogen's, and especially if you're using chemicals like ammonia nitrate, which would be or ammonia sulfate, which would be one of the two that's commonly in your chemical fertilizers that a lot of people use. It's 28 days. That's kind of the thing. It's about 28 days, and it's pretty much spent. Now, when you use organic, and especially slow release, it might be there longer, but there's not enough here that's going to end up hurting the production on these plants. So we'll get these things grown up big and get them ready to start producing. But I hope you like this video. I hope this is something you can use in the future or even right now. And if you want to see more, of course, just hit that bell. Make sure you hit all notifications. Give it a thumbs up and share this video. It really helps my channel. Enjoy that gardening experience.